guys, happy Monday. Today we are going to be explaining the difference between El Nino and La Nina. We're going to start today with a couple of short videos that you may or may not have watched already, but that's okay. We can always look at them again. And then we're going to fill in today's graphic organizer, which looks like this.
Every year, we learn something new. Just like the sun has cycles, there are cycles in parts of the Earth's climate. One that we know more about now is called El Nino. El Nino is when the water in the middle of the Pacific Ocean gets much warmer than usual. Because the ocean is so big, a small change in the ocean temperature can make a big difference in weather around the world. When there is an El Nino, some countries get weather that is stormier. They might get a lot of rain every week that makes floods. Other countries get weather that is drier. The dry weather is bad for farmers and bad for ski resorts because they don't get a lot of snow. But dry weather is good for construction workers building a house or for people who want to play sports outside. Even in a single country, parts of it might be wetter, while other parts would be warmer. Wet is not good if you want to go outside, but it is good for the trees to grow. Warmer is not good when there are fires, but warmer is good in the winter. La Nina is the opposite of El Nino. That's when the Pacific Ocean gets colder than usual. La Nina also changes weather around the world. El Nino and La Nina are part of climate. When they change the temperature of the Pacific Ocean, it's not always a bad thing for everyone. Whenever there's bad weather someplace, there's always good weather someplace else.
Okay, so now we're going to watch that video again, but I'm going to pause and we're going to fill in some things on our graphic organizer.
Every year, we learn something new. Just like the sun has cycles, there are cycles in parts of the Earth's climate. One that we know more about now is called El Nino. El Nino is when the water in the middle of the Pacific Ocean gets much warmer than usual.
Okay, so right there, we're talking about how El Nino is when water in the Pacific Ocean is warmer than usual. So right here we have the Pacific Ocean, okay, if you look at your graphic organizer, and during an El Nino event, it is warmer. Okay? So if you look down at your fill in the blanks, El Nino equals warmer water. Okay, so El Nino is when the water in the Pacific Ocean, the surface water of the Pacific Ocean, is about 2 degrees warmer than usual. And what that means for us in North Carolina is that it brings warmer, wetter weather. So bringing warm and wet weather to North Carolina, okay? La Nina means cooler water, okay? This is when the surface temperature of the Pacific Ocean is 2 degrees cooler than usual. So we're going to put colder water. Okay, so this brings cool and dry weather to North Carolina. Let's take a look at our second video. Oops.
When the Pacific Ocean warms and cools with El Nino and La Nina, we see global temperature rise and fall. This pattern of ocean temperature variability plays into a long-term trend of rising global surface temperatures. The signature pattern for El Nino is warmer than average surface temperature in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean, such as this episode from 2009 and 2010.
The red coloring on this model of the globe is showing that the surface temperature of the Pacific Ocean, here's the United States right up here and here's California, okay, is about 2 degrees warmer than usual. You can see that with the red coloring. The blue coloring is going to be your cooler temperatures.
All that warm water heats the air above it, so when we have an El Nino, we get warmer than average surface temperature patterns. That leads to warmer global temperature. The global temperature is a single number calculated from observations around the world and throughout the year, shown on maps like this. The last El Nino episode, when the Pacific Ocean was warmer than average, was in 2010. You can see how much warmer it was than the following year, 2011. Cold water in the central and eastern Pacific marks a La Nina episode. That cold water pushed global surface temperature down compared to 2010. How does this pattern play out in the long term? Over the last 5 decades, the globally average surface temperature has creeped upward at about 1/4 degree per decade. Notice that 2005 and 2010, both of which followed El Nino events, were the warmest recorded in the past 133 years. El Niños push these years over the top of long-term trends. La Nina years act as you would expect, lowering global temperature below the long-term trend line. The cold surface water in the Pacific lowers surface temperature in the air, and that affects global temperature.
You can see the La Nina event by looking at the blue coloring as indicated that shows a lower temperature, okay? You've still got your warmer temperatures here, but now the surface area of the Pacific Ocean is cooler than usual off of the western coast of the United States.
Because of the long-term warming trend in globally average surface temperature, La Nina years have gotten warmer over recent decades. The global surface temperature during El Nino years is typically warmer than the global surface temperature in neighboring years. Greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are forcing a long-term trend, so climatologists compare these highs and lows to an average that is steadily increasing.
So now, in an El Nino year, the warming of the Pacific Ocean causes warmer than normal temperatures in the northern part of North America. In a La Nina year, the temperature of the current in the Pacific Ocean causes a larger mass of cold air from the polar jet stream to come down lower in North America, causing us to have cooler temperatures. So, there's a couple of tricks that we have for remembering La Nina and El Nino, okay? So, I have a friend of mine that is a meteorologist, and her way of remembering El Nino is she goes like this. El Nino, warmer water, El Nino, warmer water. And that's her way of remembering that El Nino is when the Pacific Ocean is 2 degrees warmer than usual, okay? Another way to remember is El Nino, boys are hot. La Nina, girls can give you the cold shoulder. I hope this helps you to remember and understand El Nino and La Nina. And tomorrow we will be learning about weather tools. Bye.